Coronation Street airs a change for Jodie Ramsay in her ongoing storyline with Daniel Osborne. Weatherfield's devious schemer has been getting under his skin in recent weeks, but appears to show a change of heart in today's episode. After attempting to ruin Shona and David's marriage, Jodie has turned her attention to Daniel, who is going through upheaval of his own after it became common knowledge that his former flame, Megan Walsh, had groomed teen Will Driscoll. Feeling stressed, Daniel has spiraled after several people have questioned how much he knew about Megan's crimes, with an online troll, known as Truth Teller, having particularly harsh words for him. Unbeknownst to Daniel, Jodie is the figure behind the account, despite the fact that she has appeared to be friendly towards him. Today's episode of the ITV soap begins with Daniel speaking to his father Ken, and confides that the trolling is affecting his son Bertie. He also vows to discover who is behind the trolling, and says that he would give them a piece of my mind as he prepares to batten down the hatches. Unfortunately for him, Jodie is one of the last people he suspects, that is until he walks in on her later on, where she puts down her phone with a sheepish look. She attempts to play the situation down, but Daniel repeatedly asks to see what she was looking at. She manages to wriggle out of the situation, and shows Daniel a video of Megan being doused in milkshake while walking through town. Daniel falls for Jodie's manipulation, and subsequently thanks her. An emotional Daniel expresses how much the trolling is affecting both him and Bertie, and blames himself for ever getting involved with Megan. He confesses that he feels terrible over the whole ordeal, and wishes for the harassment to end. This elicits a response in Jodie, who appears to feel at least a flicker of emotion when hearing Daniel's words. As he points out that the trolling is affecting a child, Jodie seemingly feels some guilt for her actions. This represents a change, with the character having never previously shown any remorse for her damaging antics. Will this lead her on a path to redemption, which may include coming clean to Daniel? In the latest explosive chapter of Coronation Street, viewers were left stunned as Jodie's story took a dramatic new direction in a special ITVX first episode, and by the end of the hour, it was clear that she had crossed a line there may be no coming back from. For weeks, Jodie had been simmering beneath the surface. She arrived on the cobbles with charm, confidence, and just enough mystery to keep everyone guessing. At first, she looked like another troubled newcomer trying to rebuild her life. But as secrets slowly began to unravel, the cracks in her carefully controlled image started to show. This latest episode changed everything. The drama kicked off with mounting pressure from all sides. Jodie was already struggling to keep her lies hidden after several residents began questioning her version of events. Tension grew inside the Rovers as whispers spread across Weatherfield, and it became painfully obvious that people were beginning to distrust her, but instead of backing down, Jodie doubled down. In a shocking twist, she manipulated a situation that spiraled completely out of control. What started as an attempt to protect herself quickly became something far darker. Her desperation was written all over her face as she scrambled to stay ahead of the truth, but every move only dragged her deeper into trouble. One of the episode's most gripping scenes came during a fierce confrontation that had fans glued to their screens. Emotions exploded as accusations flew across the room, and for a brief moment, it looked as though Jodie might finally confess everything. Instead, she lashed out in a way nobody expected. The silence afterward was chilling. Even longtime Corey fans were shocked by how far the character had gone. Social media immediately erupted with reactions, with viewers debating whether Jodie had officially become one of Weatherfield's newest villains, or whether she's simply a broken person making terrible choices. What made the storyline even more compelling was how layered Jodie appeared throughout the episode. The writers cleverly avoided making her completely evil. Beneath the manipulation and chaos, flashes of vulnerability still slipped through. There were moments where she looked terrified rather than cruel, as if she herself no longer recognized the person she was becoming. That emotional complexity has quickly made her one of the soap's most talked about characters. The ITVX format also gave the story a darker, more cinematic feel. The pacing was tighter, the confrontations more intense, and several scenes carried a raw emotional weight that traditional episodes sometimes struggle to achieve. The episode leaned heavily into suspense, keeping viewers constantly questioning what Jodie would do next, and the answer turned out to be absolutely anything. As the fallout begins, the consequences could be enormous for several Weatherfield residents. Relationships are now hanging by a thread, trust has been shattered, and at least one character may never forgive Jodie for what happened. There's also growing speculation that this storyline is setting up an even bigger disaster in the weeks ahead. Corey has been quietly planting clues that Jodie's actions could trigger a chain reaction across the street. If that's true, the ITVX episode may only have been the beginning. Fans are already predicting betrayals, arrests, and devastating exits. What's particularly interesting is how quickly public opinion on Jodie has changed. When she first appeared, many viewers sympathized with her struggles and rooted for her redemption. Now, audiences seem deeply divided. Some believe she's become dangerously toxic, while others argue she's acting out of fear and trauma rather than malice. That moral ambiguity is exactly what makes great soap storytelling work. Coronation Street has always excelled at creating flawed characters who blur the line between victim and villain, and Jodie may be the latest example. Her decisions are becoming harder to defend, yet impossible to ignore. The final moments of the episode delivered one last jaw-dropping cliffhanger. Just when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, a surprise discovery threatened to expose everything. Jodie's expression said it all: panic, fear, and the terrifying realization that her world may finally be collapsing around her. Then the credits rolled. Now fans are desperate to see what happens next. Will Jodie face the consequences of her actions? Can anyone in Weatherfield trust her again? Or will she continue spiraling until she destroys everything around her? One thing is certain, the ITVX episode has completely transformed her storyline, and after going this far, there may be no turning back. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.